Story 1. All the prerequisites for World War III are already present, the first of which is engaging with the aggressor and appeasing him. Story 2. I am still not overly worried, but I am more concerned than I was an hour ago before Trump attempted to pressure Zelensky in front of the entire world. Story 3. Having just witnessed Trump's and Vance's disgusting behavior, Russia must be laughing. It's coming just like sunrise and sunset. Story 4. Last week, it seemed like World War III was about Russia attacking the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or China attacking Taiwan. This week, it appears to be America attacking Canada. Story 5. We are in World War III. However, it is not really a shooting war. It is a war of alliances and influence. There are regional conflicts, but most will be battles of alliances, tariffs, and trade agreements. Story 6. How much can you worry about last year or the year before compared to next year? But you can't stop living life. These things are out of your control. Story 7. It is already here. People do not realize it and will not until it is too late. Iran, Russia, and China have all been making moves. The situation involving Israel, Gaza, Syria, and Iran is one front. Ukraine is another. Story 8. You should be as concerned about World War III as you are about a black hole consuming us instantly. Both are beyond your control and offer no opportunity to consider whether worrying would have made any difference. Doesn't. Stop worrying and live a normal life. There's an old saying my father used to have, worrying is just suffering, twice. Story 9. A bit more than before Trump started dismantling the international order by embracing Russia, upsetting allies, and severing economic interconnectedness. However, I'm still not that concerned. It is a bigger possibility than it was a year ago, but it's still not likely. There will never be anything you can do about it, so worrying is pointless anyway. Story 10. We just witnessed Trump and Vance laying the groundwork to use American troops to support Russia. They will claim Ukraine disrespected them and use that as an excuse to put boots on the ground in Putin's army. Story 11. With Trump in office, not much has fundamentally changed. For as much as he talks, he is ultimately very non-committal and loses interest in international affairs quickly. I believe he will dominate the spotlight, leaving the world waiting on him, only to do nothing because he sees no personal benefit. This will galvanize Europe to fully support Ukraine, resulting in a holding pattern where everyone continues fighting the same proxy war without American support. I am more concerned about Trump using troops in a manner he perceives as beneficial to himself, targeting American citizens and blue states. Story 12. Not very. There is more concern about regional wars. Nobody is currently willing to shed the blood of their own people for the wars of others, except in North Korea, as demonstrated by Ukraine. Story 13. Not at all. There is no profit in killing everyone. The future lies in endless proxy and cold wars. That is where the money is. Story 14. Worried? But World War May 3rd not devolve into a nuclear conflict, as mutually assured destruction still exists. That said, worry is a fairly meaningless emotion. Worry does not stop autocrats. It emboldens them. They exploit fear to manipulate people, allowing them to evade accountability for the misery created by their poorly thought-out policies. Story 15. Not worried at all. If a world war ever happens, it will be nuclear and due to mutually assured destruction. We ordinary people will get a 4-minute warning before the bombs arrive. There's no point in worrying. Fun fact: the only time all insurance policies are null and void, including corporate ones, is when a group of 8 countries declares war on another. War, from the perspective of a veteran, is all about making the elite richer. I wish I had known that before I joined and completed my tours. Story 16. Let's be perfectly clear. Felon 47 and Maybelline are completely embarrassing. Ukraine will receive support from Europe. Story 17. Not overly. France and the United Kingdom have enough nuclear weapons to destroy most of Russia. I hope everyone is rational enough not to let it go that far. Anyone playing would not win. A strange game, Professor Falcon. The only winning move is not to play. Story 18. Somebody needs to stand up, and leaders should start thinking differently. If we all have the respect and decency to care for all living things on Earth and work together, that is all that matters. However, when I reflect on the past, I believe this is a burden we all carry inside, and there is little we can do about it. Perhaps a miraculous genetic evolution within our DNA will one day change our minds and perspectives. I must admit, I am genuinely concerned about what is happening with governments. Story 19. Sometimes life gives you trouble, but if you worry, you make it double. I will be honest with you. We are almost certainly living through humanity's final chapter in one way or another. The geopolitical pressures caused by the ongoing climate crisis will likely push the world into conflict within the next 25 to 50 years. If, by some miracle, we are able to maintain world peace in the face of the coming turmoil, global ecological collapse will almost certainly wipe out most of the world's population anyway. The latter is a much slower and more painful path to extinction, but I still prefer it over nuclear disaster because, at least in this scenario, we have a chance. Live your best life, hug your loved ones, dance, and don't forget to laugh. Get some popcorn, my friend. We have front row seats to the end of the world. Story 20. We will all die within an hour if World War III starts, so live your life. Enjoy the moment. Worrying will not change anything. Story 21. The mere words of World War III in the Oval Office are alarming because they give this compromised administration a chance to leverage martial law and take power away from the American people at an exponentially faster rate than what we have seen in these first 37 days. Long gone are checks and balances. All forms of freedom and liberty are in jeopardy. Habeas corpus is likely at risk, and so is free speech. That is what I am most worried about in the short term. Story 22. I think it has already started. And now that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said they are going to provide funding and deploy troops, it is definitely going to be a massive conflict and the beginning of World War III. Story 23. It might happen, and if it does, any of us young men like me will be shipped off as soon as we finish high school. We won't get to see our girlfriends or our wives. It will be the last time we see them. So let's pray we don't start nuclear warfare. Story 24. More than you have experienced in approximately 40 years. The Berlin Wall came down, which marked a low point in the threat. However, we have been increasing efforts since then, and it could truly begin at any moment. Story 25. Not too worried, but I wouldn't say there's no risk. Appeasement of Russia will do nothing except embolden them. Europe's rearmament is definitely a good decision, but the fact that it's happening and we are moving towards military multipolarity is concerning. I see a lot of people saying we are already in a global conflict. Those people have no idea what they are talking about. It's like saying America is a developing country, which shows a lack of understanding of the meaning of those words. Story 26. We have essentially walked into another Cold War. We should all know or educate ourselves how close the last one came to turning into World War III. Story 27. World War III seems unlikely, but I see fear of it being leveraged to create further chaos, which in turn allows other issues to slip past. The United States spent a lot of time hesitating on supplying Ukraine with weapons and allowing them to be used effectively, all because it didn't want to provoke Vladimir Putin and escalate the war. I'm sure avoiding World War III would figure largely in any explanation from Donald Trump of why we must give Putin everything he wants. Russia is in no condition to fight a world war, but they still try to present themselves as a great power. Even Xi Jinping trying to assert control over Taiwan while everyone is occupied with other conflicts seems a bit of a stretch, though they are in a better position to attempt intimidation. In summary, no, World War III is not looming. Economic chaos, corruption, and fascism are ongoing problems fueled by a combination of disinformation, Putin, Trump, and technology entrepreneurs. Story 28. We have been in World War III since 2001 or possibly even earlier. However, it has been a cold world war, characterized by various proxy wars and revolutions. I believe the Cold War itself never truly ended. It was simply overlooked for about 15 years, during which time the issues quietly escalated, especially relative to today's situation. This culminated with Russia's invasion of Crimea in 2014. Just my opinion. Story 29. We are there now. It's almost too far ahead to turn back. As soon as we start a campaign in Ukraine, China will move on Taiwan. Japan is already setting up defense in the Taiwan Strait this week. North Korea, under the leadership of China, will attack South Korea. Iran will head north to Ukraine and still target Israel. If you think World War I was bloody, just imagine this one and the technology we have yet to see. Story 30. My question is, considering the fact that Trump is dismantling America and surprisingly looks like he is a Russian asset, where would America stand? Right now, they are drifting towards a significant geopolitical shift, which would greatly disrupt the world. You could argue that Putin has succeeded in a clever way by undermining America from within, and we are now witnessing it and allowing it to happen. Story 31. Biden has involved us in a conflict on the other side of the world and is providing our allies with missiles to target a nuclear superpower. So yes, ask Biden what his plan is. Story 32. I believe worry is not the best term. The time for betting on the day it begins has started. We can only hope someone will be around long enough to cash that check. Story 33. I am not worried. I will die from overworking, healthcare bankruptcy, not being able to afford food, or a global conflict. It doesn't matter. The end result will be the same. Story 34. I am more at a level of concern. Things I wanted to do, such as rainwater collection, a backup generator for the house, and improving the garden, have moved to the top of my to-do list. Story 35. I am not happy with the world situation, but I believe Europe can and will take care of itself. While Russia has more nuclear weapons, Vladimir Putin is not foolish. Any use of those weapons will mean the end of Russia. Story 36. Europeans should be concerned. They have an aging population, and if their youth population declines, they will struggle to recover demographically. In other words, some European countries have less than 20% of their population under 18. Imagine if this group were to almost completely vanish due to conflict. Story 37. Hopefully, they just all launch nuclear weapons. This experiment is a failure. The human race does not deserve to continue. Story 38. Who are we going to be fighting? I don't see a near-peer adversary for a war. If it were conventional warfare against Russia, not during winter, they would be overwhelmed like the Iraqis in Kuwait. Story 39. Russian politicians released an ad 2 years ago claiming ownership of Alaska. Alaska is, at its closest, 55 miles of water away from Russia. The flat Earth theory being circulated is partially promoted by Russia to make Americans forget that the ocean between the United States and Russia is not vast at all. Story 40. Regardless of whether another world war breaks out, you should have items prepared so you and your family can get out of danger in case of an emergency. A bug-out bag is always a good idea. Story 41. I am pretty concerned, but it's hard to say. On one hand, the doomsday clock is at 89 seconds to midnight, and there is a significant amount of chaos in Washington, D.C. The person with the nuclear football is quite unpredictable. On the other hand, worrying about it will not help. Do what you can, vote, advocate, etc. And otherwise just live your life and treasure each day as it comes. Spend time outdoors, pet your dog, hug your children, parents, or significant other. Story 42. Not at all. Putin is a coward and has little to no actual military power compared to those who stand against him. America, with its 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, could honestly take on the entire planet. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.